So Germany has been allegedly arresting Jews en masse in the name of combating anti-Semitism. And if this isn't the best example of irony going full circle, I don't know what is. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video.
Jewish activists in Germany are being called anti-Semitic for supporting Palestinian rights.
The climate in Germany is quite frightening.
Jewish person standing up for Palestinian rights.
There's a lot of confusion and gaslighting around the term anti-Semitism.
Jewish South African photographer Adam Broomberg was arrested at a Nakba Day commemoration in Berlin. The event was organized by a Jewish group to honor the memory of Palestinians who suffered massacres and displacement when Israel was founded in 1948. Unlike many pro-Palestine gatherings in Germany, the commemoration was repressed, censored, and shut down.
Suddenly, I was confronted by a riot policeman and I said to him, "Where was your grandmother during the Holocaust?" And I repeated the question, "Where was your grandmother during the Holocaust?" And I said, "Do you want to know where my grandmother was during the Holocaust?" And he said, "I don't care."
Guys, help me understand. When did standing against what Israel is doing as a government constitute anti-Semitism? I genuinely have never understood this school of thought. Last I checked, anti-Semitism is defined as hostility, prejudice towards, or discrimination against Jews. So how is one standing against what the Israeli government is doing characterized as anti-Semitic? And for those of you who are not up to speed with what most people are mad about regarding the Israeli and Palestinian conflict, here is a quick rundown.
Here in Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories, Palestinians are being forced off their land and out of their homes, separated and segregated by laws, walls, and checkpoints. They live in a constant state of fear and insecurity and deliberately impoverished. While, on the other hand, Israeli authorities have given the Jewish Israeli population privilege over Palestinians in just about every facet of. Well, Israeli leaders have been clear about their intentions from the beginning. In 1948, just before he became the first Prime Minister of Israel, Ben-Gurion visited Lifta and other Palestinian areas near Jerusalem that were completely emptied of Palestinian residents following attacks by Jewish forces. He stated, "There are no Arabs, 100% Jews. If we persist, it is quite possible that in the next 6 or 8 months there will be considerable changes in the country, very considerable, and to our advantage." More than 70 years later, then Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu posted on Instagram that Israel is not a state of all its citizens, but rather the nation-state of the Jewish people and only them. So, it's no surprise that Israel built a system of racially discriminatory laws, policies, and practices that privilege only Jewish people. And Palestinians, well, Palestinians live there too. They were there before Israel was established. But, as we will explain, they've been trapped for decades in a system that treats them as a lesser, non-Jewish racial group.
The lady in this video does a really great job of condensing this obviously complicated subject. Note that the whole conflict is a centuries old conflict that would be impossible to cover in a 5 or 6 minute long video. But in my opinion, I don't think any of the history makes what's happening in Palestine today any less evil. To keep it short, both an Amnesty International and a UN report basically concluded that apartheid is being practiced by Israel in the occupied Palestinian territory. And if the script of apartheid in South Africa has taught us anything, it's that this system is accompanied by a whole host of human rights violations. As the report states, there is today in the Palestinian territory occupied by Israel since 1967 a deeply discriminatory dual legal and political system that privileges the 700,000 Israeli Jewish settlers living in the 300 illegal Israeli settlements in East Jerusalem and the West Bank. Living in the same geographic space but separated by walls, checkpoints, roads, and an entrenched military presence are more than 3 million Palestinians who are without rights, living under an oppressive rule of institutional discrimination and without a path to a genuine Palestinian state that the world has long promised. as their right. And just to be clear, I also vehemently disagree with the people's own neighboring countries' claim that Israel shouldn't exist in the first place and needs to be eliminated. But that's an entirely different video in and of itself. I just personally believe that people have the right to disagree with a government and its actions without having to be branded as racist or hateful individuals. And I think it's even more disingenuous when you resort to arresting Jews simply because they've decided to protest the actions of their own government. And you know what's even worse? This wasn't even a protest. It was a commemoration for the Palestinians who suffered displacement and massacres when the country was founded. And just for the record, I think what France has done to its previous colonies should also constitute human rights violations. But that doesn't mean I have any bone to pick with French people. Comment ça va? And where was this gentleman's grandmother during the Holocaust? I wonder where he was going with that conversation.
Police piled on top of Bloomberg during his arrest.
The right to demonstrate is a human right, but this wasn't even a demonstration, it was a commemoration.
In 2019, the German parliament adopted a resolution calling the Palestinian-led boycott, divestment and sanctions movement against Israel anti-Semitic. And though the resolution is not legally binding, authorities have used it to ban Palestine-related events and block organizations from receiving state funding.
The German state weaponizes the term anti-Semitism and uses it to demonize and to silence anyone who shows any kind of solidarity with the Palestinian plight or anyone who criticizes the apartheid occupying state of Israel.
Germany has a large network of anti-Semitism commissioners who are supposed to help the country combat its threat of anti-Semitism.
We have a real anti-Semitism problem, and it's really, really serious. I'm scared. I have 2 young children. I fear for them. And at the same time, I find myself accused of being a hateful anti-Semite who advocates for terrorism against Jews.
From violent attacks against synagogues to the vandalization of Jewish cemeteries, Germany has a lot to tackle.
Now, I don't care how badly you disagree with the Israeli government. If you resort to violent threats or start vandalizing Jewish cemeteries or even worse, start attacking people in their places of worship, yeah, then you should definitely be treated as a domestic terrorist. I guess these overtly anti-Semitic actions are what prompted the German government to enact the policies against any demonstrations supporting the Palestinians. And while I do understand what they're trying to achieve there, I still don't think arresting every single person trying to protest the issue is the solution, because needless to say, it does a great disservice to the people who are suffering in Palestine. So what do you guys think? Does it really make any sense to criminalize criticism of other states simply because they're friendly governments? Again, needless to restate, that doesn't make any sense to me. But to those of you who take this as an opportunity to drum up hate against Jews or even go as far as perpetrating these actions against innocent Jews, yeah, you're no better than this soldiers perpetrating the crimes in Palestine, because at least they can attempt to pretend that they were following orders from their government. Why don't you guys let me know what you think in the comment section below?